really want to reiterate our hope today is to create a positive and safe environment for students to share their experiences and be heard by administration. Historian Inez Selden Johnson once wrote, "So much history has been lost because those who lived it are no longer here to share it with us." Thanks to our current digital age, preserving the current day as history is secondhand nature to us all. However, a lot of the history of the park that we are currently standing in remains underrepresented in public knowledge. Penland Village was once a vibrant Black community, and its history is captured by E. Gloria Stewart-Jones in her book, Penland Village, Lest We Forget. For example, during the 1840s and 50s, it's possible that Penland had a connection to the Underground Railroad, and after the Emancipation Proclamation, many Black workers migrated to Penland from the South and established a community right here. An audio tape discussing the history of Penland Village was submitted to Wissahickon School District in 1968 as part of its local history curriculum. But when Stewart reached out to the school for this audio tape for her writing of this book, they said it could not be found. The education system has long failed Black members of the community, but we are lucky enough to have people who are willing to fight these battles as uphill as they are. Thaddeus Smith was a community leader who fought for desegregation of schools in Lower Gwynedd. His children attended the Penland School, which was built here in Penland Park. He believed the Penland School and Lower Gwynedd elementary schools were not following or upholding the values of separate but equal compared to the Springhouse School, which was 2 miles away. He said that the Springhouse School had new classrooms and they were sending their old textbooks to the segregated school, which was here in Penland. Following the passing of Brown versus Board of Education, which made school boards responsible for the integration of students, Smith and 4 other families took the case to the Montgomery County Court of Common Pleas and won the right for their children to attend Springhouse School in September of 1955. We chose to hold this event here today as a reminder that change will not happen in these systems until we come together to demand it. The educational system is a child's first experience with racism, and as a whole, we need to do better. As we listen to students today, I hope you all will join me in reflecting on our actions and what we can do to improve things for our future generations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everyone! For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jonthika Kapoor. I'm a member of Wissahickon's class of 2020 and I'll be attending Wellesley College this fall. Today is actually the first time that I'm introducing myself using the correct pronunciation of my name, Jonthika. Many of you likely know me as Jontika, which is actually the Americanized version of my name that was wrongfully pushed on me by an elementary school educator within this very district. Following my graduation this month, I began to think more and more about cultural microaggressions like these that I have encountered at Wissahickon and the devastating impact that they have had on my cultural identity today. More importantly, I was disheartened at my inability to speak out or even recognize such experiences earlier. After conversing with many of my peers, I came to realize that such instances of overt and subtle racial and cultural discrimination are not isolated. Instead, they continue to actively plague the walls of Wissahickon. However, it's important to note that these problems do not just go unspoken in Wissahickon, but in many suburban schools like our own. In fact, I recently learned that after World War II, there was a suburban housing boom in which white families moved out of the cities into the suburbs, while Black families were stuck in the cities where property values plummeted and schools lacked resources. As a result, suburban schools today are often predominantly white and better funded than inner city schools. Even as suburban districts like our own diversify, students of color are still in the minority. And because well-funded schools like our own have nice rankings and labels such as 8th in the state or National Blue Ribbon recognition, the widespread discrimination in these schools is often overlooked, leaving many students feeling uncomfortable in what is supposed to be a positive learning environment. Today, we are here to learn more about the challenges that students of color, but specifically Black students, experience within Wissahickon School District. We must take a stance against the overt and subtle racism that plagues our community. We must educate ourselves and reevaluate our education system with a lens towards racial and cultural diversity. For too long, Wissahickon students have felt unheard, and today, I ask for every member in the audience to truly listen to our experiences. Don't listen just to respond. Listen to listen and learn from the experiences of current and former students. If you find yourself feeling defensive at times, I encourage you to explore where exactly that is coming from. Try to move through the defensiveness and open your hearts and minds to really hear us all. By the end of this event, I hope we can, as a collective community, learn how we can work together to make Wissahickon School District a safer place for students of all colors. Thank you.
So I created a conversation. A video call every Monday and Thursday. I join people who are allies to talk about recent news and to talk about how it's affecting them. It's a really safe space for everyone to come and join to talk about this because it's very important. During my time at Wissahickon, I was involved with many things, such as girls basketball until my junior year. I was involved with class committee, WISPALS fans, and CASA, the Multicultural Club. During my time at WIS, I went through a lot of pain though. That pain inflicted onto me from others stemmed from racism and ignorance, not only from my classmates, but from my teachers. Growing up in this district, I learned that I am so blessed to have grown up in a household that my parents ingrained true and precious values into me, such as treat people the way you want to be treated. Being a part of this Wissahickon School District from kindergarten to 12th grade, I learned that everyone wasn't properly raised with those same courtesies as I was. I can really recount from every single year a time that I was racially targeted and discriminated against because of my skin color. Here are a few times. 3rd grade, Bluebell Elementary. A girl in my class told the teacher I was being mean to her because I got on the swing set before her. I was confused because I know I didn't do anything wrong, and I told my teacher that I didn't. But that teacher dismissed the truth and sided with the girl and her feelings, alongside a couple of her other friends who happened to be white. And the teacher made me and the entire class sit in a circle. All eyes on me, the only black girl in the room, made me tell the entire class what I did wrong, how I hurt her feelings, and to apologize to her in front of everyone to make me promise I would never do anything like that again. It was humiliating. After that, everyone was scared of me. They left me out over a swing set. I was 7 years old. 5th grade, Bluebell. Me and my one best friend, who happened to be black too, were always targeted for some reason by one specific teacher. He would give us mean looks in the hallways, attack us, and ask us if we were being mean or bullies. One day he asked his entire class if we had ever bullied any of his students. He made jokes in the hallways and we had to line up about telling his class to avoid us. We never even had him as a teacher, ironically. We told our teacher how upset we were about that, but our feelings were dismissed, and we were sent to the principal's office for being angry and disobedient. I was 10. 6th grade, middle school. I came into school one day like any other day, my hair in beautiful curls my mom just did for me, and at lunch a boy came up to me laughing and screaming, pointing at me that I looked like Aunt Jemima. His friends and surrounding tables started pointing and laughing at me. I went home crying, and I told my mom I never wanted my hair like that ever again. The rest of that week, no one called me Gabrielle, but addressed me as Aunt Jemima. And the school did nothing about it until my parents got involved, and they only gave the students a slap on the wrist. I was 11. 8th grade, middle school, we were reading a book that had the N-word in it, and students who are non-black were saying it and laughing about it. I told my teacher, being one of the only black kids in the classroom, that I was uncomfortable with that. He told me I was being way too sensitive and that everyone had to get comfortable with saying the word. I was 13. From such a young age, my feelings and presence were dismissed and taken advantage of for a lot of white students and teachers' own personal agenda of me fitting into a stereotypical angry black woman as a young girl. It didn't matter how big a smile I came in with every day, I had to overcome the bad-tempered, aggressive, and hostileness traits that people tried to put onto me for expressing how I felt. I was faced with so much racism that I began to normalize this feeling of disassociation with who I really was, a happy black girl, because everything was put onto me so heavily at such a young age. As I got older and fully assessed my surroundings and wondered, is this what they prey on us for? The trauma this district put me through and so many other students of color is disgraceful. One thing I learned at WIS is that America assesses my identity of being black and a woman will always be targeted for power structure, social settings, and in life just generally, but all simultaneously. When I finally got to high school though, things became worse for me and alarmingly clear that I wasn't in a fair learning environment setting as the rest of my white peers. but rather in constant survival mode, watching my every word, action, constantly proving myself in the classroom and to my peers to be seen as a good student, not just for a Black woman. It became crystal clear that this school and along with parts of our country don't see us as children, don't see us as Black children, but just see us as Black. Grouping us all together as if we go through the same struggle and as if we have the same experience is not valuing our words. All of our voices deserve to be heard regardless of your comfortability. Do you think we are comfortable being informed a Black man or woman has died every week more than once on the news like we're reporting the weather? My hope for our future at this district is that the administration and school board and staff changes its policies and abides by the demands we are asking for the sake of kids' mental health. This vicious cycle of never addressing racial issues needs to change. It creates an environment of no one caring enough to hold anyone accountable for their actions. Instead of unlearning racism and hate, students are relearning that they will never face any real consequences, and that transcends into the real world. Racism is routine at Wissahickon School District, and it will only end if we all come together, love thy neighbor, and see one another for more than just the color of the skin, but the content of your character. Words we all heard growing up, no matter our age, from the great MLK. Wissahickon prides itself on a no place for hate institution, right? Said it at every assembly, words plastered on every wall in the hallway. But let's actually put meaning to those words. Everyone please say it with me now, and loud enough too, so that Chrisfield and Blair can hear it from the comfort of their homes. Black Lives Matter!
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 Black students at WIS 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 matter!
Thank you.
Wissahickon when I was in 7th grade. Luckily, I had been in the gifted program at my previous school, so I was automatically placed into it at WIS. Judging by the number of Black students in my gifted classes, I would not have been in the program if it were up to them. In all of my years at Wissahickon that I was in gifted classes, there were less than a handful of Black students. Despite more and more students being placed into the gifted program, the number of Black students still remains concerningly small.
In 10th grade, I met my second Black teacher. Once she found out that I wasn't in the gifted program, she was determined that I took the eligibility test. Even though it was too late for me to be accepted into the program, I still passed. I wouldn't have done it without the confidence that she had in me. There are many students who just need someone to believe in their capacity.
Courtney and I, as well as many of you, can recall many days in school in which we had assemblies. These were often about mental health or cyberbullying, but we never had one about racism. I can't remember a single time in which the students of Wissahickon were ever reminded about the significance of racial slurs, microaggressions, or just racism in general. A lot of families are unfortunately not having these conversations about racism in their homes, which is why it becomes the school's job to provide that information and to condemn racist acts.
As you all know, college application is a very stressful time in which many of us need support and reassurance from our staff. Cosette and I cannot say that it was made very much easier by some of the staff at WHS. Many students of color, mostly Black students, have shared that they felt discouraged by counselors and teachers when applying to colleges.
I remember the broken look on my close friend's face when he was told by a guidance counselor that he should just apply to Montco. He was never encouraged to look anywhere else or even to take the SAT like other students. It seems like our counselors put him on a fast track to go nowhere, despite all of his teachers saying great things about him. Even with the lack of support from WIS, he was accepted into multiple schools and is now a student at Pace University. In addition to him, a large number of our Black peers, including us, were shot down harshly when talking about schools they wished to apply to. Despite being discouraged by some staff from applying to New York University, I got in and was accepted into the Dean's Global Honors Program. I finished out my first year with a 4.0.
Hey, baby!
It's not to say that these experiences cannot happen to white students. However, they are happening to students of color at a disproportionate rate. There is concern for closing the achievement gap, yet it seems as though the actions of Wissahickon High School are the reason why it continues to expand. Your code of conduct preaches equal opportunity, but it doesn't seem to be exercised. In order to close the performance gap between white students and their non-white peers, you need to actually give them the guidance to do so and at least act like you care in the slightest.
Your mission statement on the WSD website states that your goal is to, quote, empower each student to excel to their fullest potential and contribute in full measure to the greater community, end quote. How are students, specifically students of color, meant to reach their fullest potential if the example is being set by Wissahickon administration members who decided not to physically attend today's event? Thank you.